Want to stop juggling spreadsheets, calendars, and a dozen apps just to run your rentals? Lodgify makes it easy. It's an all-in-one toolkit for hosts. Build a direct booking website, automate guest messaging, and keep all your channels in sync. Running your rental business your way has never been simpler. And for Good Morning Hospitality listeners, you can get 20% off any yearly plan with code GMH20. Just check the link in the show notes to get started today.
Welcome to Good Morning Hospitality, your one-stop shop for the latest news, noteworthy trends, and thought-provoking discussions across the industry. From hotels and short-term rentals to all things travel and hospitality, you'll find each episode equips you with the information that you need to start your week. Join us on Good Morning Hospitality every Monday, wherever you get your podcasts.
Good morning.
Morning. Happy Monday.
Best day of the week. We're back. Look at us. We're just doing our thing. On this fine Monday morning. How are we doing? It's good to see your beautiful faces.
I know. I can't believe I made it in time because I didn't know if I was going to still be driving right now, but
seriously, a new Monday and a new backdrop for Brandy. So
yeah.
Where are we at today?
I am in Saratoga at my parents' house. I had a wedding this weekend. My best friend got married in the Finger Lakes. So, and then we have another wedding next weekend in Vermont. So having an upstate New York week.
Upstate New York week. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Golden, how about you?
Same old over here, nothing crazy. Definitely a very different existence than the two of you.
Yes, a little different, but all good. It's a quiet weekend with the boys. Any good dad or day stories that you got going on this weekend?
No, just had a good old normal weekend. Little pool, little arcade. Took Oliver to the arcade, so had a good time.
Lovely. Yeah, well, I just got back from New York. Was at the Skiff Data and AI conference, which was way better than expected. I'll say that. And I told them this feedback too. I was expecting it to be very technical and very kind of way above my pay grade type understanding of AI and data. And it was actually not. And it was really practical. And it was great to hear some big CEOs talking about, not even just CEOs, but big brands talking about how they're doing AI and data and all that stuff, which we'll get into this episode. But good to be in New York, to see everyone there. There was only 6 STR people in the whole conference. So there was a couple of us representing short-term rentals, a lot of hotel folks and travel, and a lot of startups. But it was a lot of fun. And then I got to see Sarah Dandishi with our hotel crew. And today is actually her birthday. So giving her a big shout out on the pod for another year around the sun. But yeah, really good time in New York. It's been a fun week.
Yeah, I think it probably wasn't that technical because who actually understands AI?
100%. 100%. There's a couple of the
buzzword.
Yeah, there's some chief technical officers on the stage that were breaking it down with Marriott and Hilton and stuff like that. But, still, again, at the end of the day, they were talking about how it's really going into the war room and, coming up with the concept of how they're going to use the AI or the data to better enhance their whatever the goal is, right? So yeah, they're not the technical people either. They're the ones that find the technical people and help build it. So it's pretty cool. It was a good conference. I'm not surprised it sold out. So we'll see how next year turns out probably. So this week though, some fun stuff on the show that we are covering. Not only data and AI. What's up, Michael O'Connell? We got you guys on the live comments here. And yeah, Brandy, I think we should kick off with you. Also, for any live viewers like Michael, you can comment live and we'll give you on the screen. So tell us where you're tuning in from. We want to hear where you guys are all at. Where do we begin with today's topics? I think it was kind of a slow news cycle last week.
Yeah. And, we obviously already touched on the announcement of Airbnb services. And then if you have eyes and a LinkedIn in the STR industry, you've been seeing everybody just really continuing to freak out about the services and how this is going to impact hosts. And I don't mean to sound like flippant about it. I just still maintain my position that like it is, I agree that with the criticism, this article we saw from Focusrite, it's like, your real estate, your asset is suffering like the wear and tear. It's providing the space, and then you have no cut in on that. And I agree that that is not the way that it should be done. But I think it remains to be seen how big of a deal this vertical is going to be. And if, and also Airbnb isn't going to change their mind. Maybe I think it would be smart for them to cut people in on a percentage, but they're not going to get rid of services. They added it as one of their main verticals, and they really want to make it work. So,
well,
they've
gotten rid of it 3 times before, so it doesn't mean they won't.
True.
Yeah,
that's true.
Doesn't mean they won't get rid of it. I think also you're right that if the hosts aren't helping you promote it and getting a piece of it, they're not going to help you promote it. And so it just blows my mind that Airbnb has the gall to put it out there and not cut hosts in for using their property. Annie Sloan in this FocusWire article had a great comparison. If you own a coffee shop, you build it, you pick out the beans, you decorate the property, guests are coming into your coffee shop. It's like Airbnb rolls over a pastry cart, sits next to the cash register, and keeps all the cash themselves. They get to use your business and profit even further off of what they're already profiting on. So, most businesses in that case would say, the pastry cart, you give me 10% of your revenues and we'll call it a deal. It's a win-win for everybody. But otherwise, it's just straight up mooching. So Airbnb hits it.
Do you think though that they'll capitulate at this point, or you think so? I do.
Yeah. Their sales are not going to be hitting the numbers they're hoping to hit, and then they're going to be in the room like, well, how do we do this? Well, let's get the host to promote it. It's just
that should have been a no-brainer right out the gate, though. That should have been their marketing plan for this rollout from the beginning. It should have been saying, hey, we are like, if you haven't, I have a couple comments on this, and I promise this will be a quick Brandy rant, but it is more in the term of, if you're one of the 80% Airbnb hosts that's just 1 or 2 properties, owns or co-hosts it, doesn't have like a full portfolio that they manage, you should have already been doing this service type act already. You should have already been connecting with the best catering, private chefs. Like, you should have been doing that for your own property from the beginning, no matter what. That's my first thing. The second thing, Airbnb could have had so many ambassadors free. They are a PR machine. We've talked about on the show. How come they didn't lean into that and get all of their hosts to promote this by giving them a chunk? That would have been the easiest. You know how many easy low-hanging fruit dollars this provides if they do it right? But no, they didn't do that. And so now they're going to, just like experiences pull back. They're like, oh, well, we got excited with this new launch, but now let's actually backpedal a little bit and make sure our hosts are included, make sure this is done. And, obviously there's safety concerns now, and there's this. And like, I don't know if they fully thought it through, or they did, and they just said, oh, we'll fix that once people start calling it out publicly and we start getting a lot of shit for it. That's just kind of my thinking. But
well, I agree with that. And I also think, though, if there's some sort of, I won't even call it a silver lining, but this is a catalyst for some people who have been Airbnb loyalists. They're only on that platform. They consider themselves an Airbnb host. Now, I think some of them are thinking, how do I get direct bookings? How do I get more control over this experience, my inventory, my business? Because they're starting to see, if they came in this cohort that was post-COVID and didn't have that experience of, all the payments getting just taken out of the bank account, then they haven't really experienced Airbnb taking, I'm trying not to say the word manipulate, but like manipulating their business, because they can. And that's the Airbnb's prerogative, and obviously their duty to their shareholders to maximize their profits. So maybe it'll be a little bit of a wake up that people shouldn't be so reliant on Airbnb.
If you're just not realizing it, you're a couple years too late, though. I think not
just that, but Airbnb deplatforms people sometimes for no reason, right? So if, let's say you're a massage therapist that has an Airbnb and you offer your services to guests that are staying in your house. Is it now illegal? Are they going to deplatform you for offering your chef services or your cousin's, personal fitness? Are they going to deplatform you? If history tells me anything, it's probably yes. You're going around the platform. So I think they've got a lot of Airbnb rolled this out. They typically roll things out very well. I think they rolled this out too early. I don't think they thought through all the ins and outs. And instead of talking about how cool of a service offering this is, it's potentially a great offering, but they just swung and missed in several major areas that has the property owners and the property managers not sharing in the upside and sharing 100% in the risk. Blenders break, weights break, like anything that the guests are using now more in the house is more wear and tear. Yeah. That costs hosts more money.
Oh my God. And people getting hurt. Like the liability component.
I was going to say, I can't imagine being in the property management game again, where you have the owners that don't want to be fully part of the program and want to do some stuff on their own and then start doing the services, like additional, like, I don't know, bookings or whatever that they're doing that you don't want them to do, and causing all sorts of chaos and headache for guests in the house or potentially about to be in the house. So yeah, I think it's going to be kind of a mess. But I also do think like Airbnb's early. I agree. But I think they are early because this is where the world is going in terms of the experience, the uniqueness, the extra pizzazz on top of the lodging, right? Like this is where the world is going in general. You're seeing coffee shops become the next nightclub, basically, in major cities in New York and Miami and Denver. I can't go to a coffee shop downtown Denver without having a DJ and a bunch of people all over the coffee shop now. So it's like the experience piece of the world is really becoming popular. It's being more ingrained into our daily lives. So they are early, yes, but a little too early in the terms of operations, I think, on that.
Well, it's like they need to ask, did they ask any hosts, did they run this by like a focus group of like what all the problems would be or what things, because that's like, they didn't get any buy-in from their supplier, basically. But also, us all being so like having these opinions and thinking all these things through is so specific to the operator side of our industry. Like the general public is not concerned with any of this, so I think it's not making like headline news that this is happening.
Agreed. And I think it's because hosts were already doing this stuff. Like the hosts that were already doing this stuff, it was already normalized, right? Like it's not like, oh my God, having a private chef in my Airbnb or short-term rental is groundbreaking and never been done before. So I think, yeah, you're right. Those that haven't done it are a little late. The ones that did do it, they're capitalizing on it and taking your slice of the pie without letting you really make any money. So
yeah. I want to quote Humphrey Bowles with Truvy real quick before we part. The highlighted quote in Focus Wire. We're witnessing the start of digital feudalism that concentrates power and extracts value without proportional contribution. So if you're not able to reap the financial rewards, share the guests' data, and take more ownership of your own business, it's a recipe for success or for failure long term. You're leaving a lot on the table, and Airbnb in this case is extracting 100% of the service's value.
Yeah, 100%.
Before we move on, I just want Paul Manzi had a great point that this is another thing that pits the industry against Airbnb, and that is like, I don't want that to always be the sentiment or it's like, it'd be really great. Like they're one of the largest companies in our space. It would be great if they were like the champion and the cheerleader, and that the operators had a better relationship with them.
I don't know. I just the way that everything is going, and kind of as any listener can really pick up a theme from our show, is with distribution. I think as distribution is changing, the OTA and industry relationship, I don't think is ever going to be the same now because of how it's changed and how it's no longer just let me push you in front of eyeballs. They've become their own entire empires, right? Like, so I see that unfortunately not happening, but that's just my.
Yeah. Look, Airbnb built something that is truly valuable. I mean, obviously, what was it, $90 billion market cap when it IPO'd? But they have to stay relevant, and this is an interesting path. Like I like the services aspect to it. There's a lot to like about it, but not compensating the venue of which things are participating, where activities and services are being offered. Just absolutely mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing.
I will say, though, to Steve Turk's comment, who just sent it in right now, he thinks that more people will use the services even when they're not staying at a property like a short-term rental or a hotel or whatever. And that, I think, is where it gets interesting, because for the rollout that they did do, it fits perfectly for me to have someone come to my house right now, do a massage or do a private chef or do a whatever, right? Like that's easy. And I don't have to pay a commission, or they don't have to worry about a commission split and all that good stuff. So the services and the lifestyle piece, I think, is interesting. The services with the operations, yeah, like we were discussing, still a little up in the air. But I think we should probably move on to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, speaking of distribution and OTAs just becoming more and more of their own empire, we saw in Q1 of 2025 that the OTAs have spent almost 10% or a little over 10% more in marketing dollars than they did 2024 of Q1 last year. So pretty significant increase when you look at 10% with a B behind it of billions of dollars. So it's just, again, going to the point that I said earlier. Keep going.
$4.5 billion just in one quarter. Absolutely mind-blowing.
So
like
it's
that
so
shows
much
you the
money.
Travel.
So much money. Imagine what we could do with that much.
Oh, I know.
Anyways,
take some vacations.
But I think vacations. I do think it's really interesting, the Expedia trip planner, when they're going from Instagram reel to booked trip, like that's really interesting applications of AI. And I think that's also where some of the spend is coming in, is like the expensive new technologies, and getting that fully integrated in a meaningful way into their business. So yeah, I mean, it's not surprising that you're seeing, like, they're not spending that money just on like Google ads,
Yeah.
100%. I read that Booking is going pretty heavy into the LLM and trying to understand how AI is searching, and so their properties, their listings, their pages will be viewed first, which, Booking, if you don't know their backgrounds, they test everything. It is A/B testing every little nuance. So I can only imagine what their AI department is looking at, and how they're looking at being able to convert through the LLMs and away from traditional search. And I've heard this more and more lately, of moving off of Google and the traditional search ad spend, and finding other ways to invest that capital. A lot of the times it's through social media. And so, I've said, I don't know how many times on this show, I think the next huge frontier of travel reservations is through social media. And that might be powered by AI, that might not be. But I think those that are embracing that, and that's part of why I love what Expedia's strategy is so much, of their B2B rev share proponent to their business, such a huge line item to them. But we're starting to see the three giants kind of move in different directions. Airbnb is largely getting out of travel with their services component. There's still travel components there, of course. Expedia is moving B2B, and Booking's trying to corner the AI LLM search side of things.
Yeah. It's very interesting. And just to maybe speak a little bit on the data and AI conference in New York, it was really interesting. Like I said, I was kind of expecting more technical terms of like how they're, building these tools or building these features, but it really wasn't. It was, like you were saying, Michael, we need to be capturing the guests at the time of inspiration. So using social media and how is search changing? Seth with Skift Research did a really interesting piece and report on the change of search recently with AI coming in, and how, like you said, booking.com and others are looking at AI chats and MLMs to dominate, to immediately take over, as that is where most people start shifting for their search anyway. So it's really crazy. But I think from our show listener perspective, as they're investing more money into marketing, it, like we have said, it's not just ad dollars on Google or Meta or whatever. It's now going into the AI side. And in order to really make the investment in AI, again, just a really good point from the conference last week was, I forget who it was from Thayer Ventures and then Rafit from Skift. We're talking about how data is super important to go in front of AI first before AI. And then, so that's why they named it the Data and AI Conference, not the AI and Data Conference, because you need great data. So in order to have great AI, you need the great data. And this is what all the companies are doing, from Hilton to Marriott. They're hyper focused on their user data in order to then enhance personalization, to enhance hospitality moments, to enhance the workflow behind the scene, right? And so that's where it really is going. I think their shift in investment to marketing is going to go into the MLM. And then eventually, I think the shift in the industry is going to go more towards horizontal operations or horizontal integration with servicing companies, lawn care, well and good type property management company, or not property management, but servicing company, etc. But anyways, I'm going off the rabbit trail a little bit. But yeah, it was really interesting just having the data be the core. And then as you continue to have clean and accurate data, the AI piece really becomes unlocked.
Well, that's the hard thing. I mean, getting your data, like first, just making sure that it's good data, getting it into a format that is digestible in some way. And that, like, that's how you make better decisions as a business. But then if your data isn't clean, if it's not, done correctly, you could be extrapolating information that is actually maybe doing you a disservice. So
100%.
it's yeah, and it's a challenge. Like I think about like all the data that we have, just like booking trends and all these reservations and all the information that's just in our PMS, and being able to visualize that. We have like a really good dashboard that we use, is so important. I'm excited to see eventually how AI helps all of that. I think it'll be really interesting.
Agreed. But the good data, there are people in our industry that are focusing on this. So I think our industry now should start focusing on, okay, if we want personalization and we want to be in this for hospitality, right? That's why I hear a lot of our, same names and faces on VRMA stages or whatever talking about. And that's good. We should all be focusing on that. But if you're not focusing on your data part, you're never going to get to that forefront that you want to be at the core of your business. So it's one of those sacrifices right now. Invest in this data person, invest in someone to help, really clean up the data, and not just say, oh yeah, we have our data from our PMS and our website. Like that does nothing if you don't know how to use it or even know what the data is saying. So anyways, my brandy rant of the day, my second one at least. But yeah, it's definitely changing a lot. And so it's just really interesting to see. But Paul Manzies just said the PMS is still one of the most underutilized marketing tools in the hospitality and vacation rental space.
Yeah, it's the brain of your business. It has, aside from your like accounting software, it has all that information.
Yeah, agreed. Well, another quick GMH episode this week on Monday morning. What do you two got going on the rest of the week? I'm curious to hear if the same old, or if there's something new.
Well, for me, I can say it's not same old, but continuing to work away. It's nice, change of scenery up here. It kind of like puts you in a different like working mindset sometimes. So
100%.
And then I got to prepare mentally, physically, emotionally for another wedding next weekend.
Yes. I love it. Well, Michael, anything for you?
I was trying to come up with something besides same old, but not today, not this week. Just grinding away, trying to get some things across the line. But it that seems to be the same old, you know.
Same old, same old. I love it. Well, last week on the show, I promised our listeners and live viewers that if they stayed tuned to this week's episode, they would get a little Easter egg drop of a code for some Well and Good Morning coffee. So here we go. If you made it this far into the episode, one of you, lucky 25 listeners, will get coffee sent directly to you from us on us. So 25 of you are getting free coffee from the Good Morning Hospitality team. You're going to have to use the code GoodMorning25. So 25 of you will get a free Well and Good Morning 3.5 ounce bag of coffee, I believe. And once you do that, you're going to have to let us know how it is. So enjoy your cup of coffee on us. We want to take care of our amazing GMH listeners, our morning people that bring that early morning energy. So again, last time, Good Morning 25 at the link in the show notes. If you go to wellandgood.pro/coffee, you can find the coffee there. You can grab the link in our show notes. We'll have many other ways. If you're an email newsletter subscriber, you can also grab it there too. So without further ado, let's move on. Thank you to our amazing live viewers, Steve Chirk, Paul Manzi, Michael O'Connell. Thank you guys for all tuning in. You too. It's always great to see you on a beautiful Monday morning. And as always, we'll see you guys again next week.
Want to stop juggling spreadsheets, calendars, and a dozen apps just to run your rentals? Lodgify makes it easy. It's an all-in-one toolkit for hosts. Build a direct booking website, automate guest messaging, and keep all your channels in sync. Running your rental business your way has never been simpler. And for Good Morning Hospitality listeners, you can get 20% off any yearly plan with code GMH20. Just check the link in the show notes to get started today.